Hello and welcome to the fourth day of I Am Self-Love. I'm your host, teacher, person. I am Mia Saenz. Okay, everybody. So we're on our last day, and today is probably the most important day because we get to share how to continue living this authentic life that you've been working towards. And so most people don't know the pattern, the path, and that's why Lori and I put these things together to help people see and identify what's out there for them. So before we get into today's talk, we like to go over the day before and also even this whole week because this is the last day. So we had in our discussions, we had on day one, defining the authentic self, to discover the essence of your authentic self and understand how self-love plays an integral role in your journey for personal growth. That was really important. Day two, recognizing authenticity. Learn to recognize when you are in touch with your authentic self and they experience a profound sense of self-love that arises from that connection. Believe it or not, I wrote these, even if I stumble over reading them. Day three, tools and connection. Acquire practical tools and techniques that will enable you to establish a deep and lasting connection with your authentic self. And so today, living authentically. So we're already now moving into as if we are authentic because we've already learned some tools that we've been working with. Explore how to live a life of self-love authentically, embracing your true nature and manifesting your dreams and aspirations. So as we go through this, it's so funny. I pulled the paper down and all of a sudden Jody's face is right there really big on. I have a 32-inch TV monitor screen. Hi, Jody, you're full size with me. And it only has one person right in front. Okay, so let's talk about this week's work. How was it for you? How did it support you? How did it freak you out? Believe it or not, some of these get people saying, I didn't know this about myself. And I'm like, of course not. None of us do until we actually examine who we are and look into the depths of who we are, right? We have this space within us that seems and feels very blank at times. A lot of people can't remember their childhood or pieces of it. There's chaos, we'll call it chaos at the moment, which is planetary. Chaos can create that for us. It disrupts our nervous system, right? We've talked about the nervous system and how to regulate it. It disrupts our, almost like our energetic field. So you are loved, you are self-loved, but connecting to that individually is that beautiful gift that we feel in all aspects of our life going forward. Okay, so I'm going to let you guys share. We got some messages that, did you want to share, Michelle?
I do. I haven't shared yet. And I wanted to say something that actually surprised me. I think I've been working on myself and self-love for a while now. And so this is
Okay.
just the continuing on of the process for me. But what surprises me when I really think about it is the times that I'm not my authentic self,
Mhm.
day to day. And I believe that it's usually because I'm feeling not very confident or stressed out or something. Um, and I appreciate the fact that I'm a little bit more aware of that right now because I really wasn't. I'm like, yeah, authentic, I'm authentic. Well, not really, not as much as you think. And so that's something that over the last couple of days that I've been thinking and writing about more. I do keep a journal about the times I'm not acting like the self that I believe I am, that authentic
Yeah,
person. And a lot of times it's a younger version of myself that feels that they have to act
parts, yeah.
this way.
Mhm. Isn't
the
that fascinating that this popped up? So I've been teaching self-love for 15 years. We brought in the emotional intelligence in my own personal work about 6 or 7 years ago, and then Lori and I together. And I did not realize until I started bringing in this aspect of it. This is why I called this aspect self-love too, because this is the stuff that we're dusting off, the areas that we had no idea were covered up with dust. They're not covered
yeah,
up with mud per se. I mean, in some storylines they might be, right? But it's just a dusting off to recognize, oh, I have the ability to be more true to myself now that I know.
yes,
So I know that it might piss people off when I say this, but it's one of my favorite sayings is you don't know what you don't know until you know it, because that's the truth. In 2021, we had a whole series, like a 6 month series on that. It was so fascinating. Everybody, their minds were just popping all over because when you explore what you don't know and you recognize that you don't know, it's not a it's not a pop in a balloon, but it is an expansion, right? It's like, oh my gosh. Maybe it's like I'm trying to think of something that's so vast. So like maybe you're standing at the top of say a volcano, maybe one that's inactive, and you look down, you don't realize, you think maybe it might just be a little slope, but maybe
mm,
one of them goes all the way down to the center, right? And then it's like, whoa, I had no idea that this would look like that because from my perspective, it looked like there was maybe some land not too
hmm,
far down. And so I love the you don't know what you don't know until you know it because that's always for
yes,
me like a little girl. I get so excited. It's like, wow, there's something else that brings clarity to my journey, to my story, to who I am.
yeah.
And
These little epiphanies.
yeah. And I am grateful that you said I've been studying self love because and you and I are meeting tomorrow, I saw on the calendar,
That's
right?
correct. Yes.
So I didn't get to talk to you, so I didn't know that about you. And I represent this as all levels of self love because I don't know what levels people are at, right? When I work with them. So thank you for sharing that. It's a beautiful sisterhood. In fact, I have a group on Facebook called the Sisterhood Society.
Hmm.
If you're not a member of that, we're doing breaking stories in there. We're starting to do that in the fall. So I put stories in there. I encourage other people to put their stories in there. It's not necessarily our immediate self-love stories. People can also write. So it's all aspects of expanding out our voice that we may never have been able to use. There's a great power, as you found out, because you said you journal things out. There's a great power in putting it down to paper, whether it's creation of an
Yes.
idea, right? Whether
Hmm.
it's your fanciful, mystical, two girls running through a forest and then you tell a tale of it, whatever it is that brings lightness or joy to your spirit and your heart, that's what you got to do. And we all have to do what we have to do to change our lives so that there's lightness.
Yeah.
Because that lightness, until you have that lightness, we don't know what we're missing. We want peace, we want joy, we even want love, but we don't know that we're missing that aspect until we go on that journey of peace or lightness or whatever the individual, sees it as. And it's very, very amazing to do that. So any aspect of your journey, all of it needs everybody. We all need to nurture ourselves during this. That's why I keep reiterating the gentleness, the gentle talk, the gentle communication with ourselves, because we were not taught it. So what we're actually doing, and I know you know this, Michelle, and probably Jody too, we are reparenting ourselves. We're teaching
Yes.
ourselves new ways of being, right? We're
Yeah.
getting the beautiful love in the way that we need it that our sweet parents couldn't provide at the time because they didn't educate themselves, which is okay, before they had kids, on how to raise kids in the best way. Nobody hardly does. I read books before my kids came, and I have to say, I wanted to be the best parent. People said, "Oh, you're a great mom." But from hearing my kids' side of the story on a few stories, not on their whole life, but just a few stories, I question what I did. You know,
Mm.
there was never any aggression from me, um, but maybe too much giving in, letting them have their way more, because I had the abuse. So I went the other way. I wasn't going to touch my kids. I wasn't going to do that stuff. So we just have to. And the beautiful thing about being a parent or an aunt or anybody that's in touch with children is we get to teach them without teaching them through our example. So my children have shifted and grown. They're adults, they're men. They've shifted and grown because they've watched me still. And then they've picked up books and read it. And then they started communicating differently and started looking at things differently. So we need to be not just for our beautiful self. So if you take the idea of children and use it for your own inner child, that being inside needs that same love, that same honoring that we want to show even our children, right? An example. Same with the entire process that we have to build that new pattern. And so as we keep showing up for ourselves, what happens is everything changes. We expect ourselves to be a certain way. Like yesterday, I'd mentioned about even a little physical thing that I had. I put into my mind that I was able, after chemo, a year later, but I was able to get up out of the chair without pushing on the chair things, which I had not done in over a year, because literally I wasn't able to walk for 9 months. I mean, I was in great pain, crying, having help, that kind of stuff. So to be free and then to claim it and then to see the next day, this was earlier in the week, that I was like, well, I'm not trying to be cliche, but I am self-love, right? It's that being who you want to be, being what you identify is the best way for you. So whatever is the best thing for you, we have to do that, even if it's uncomfortable or feels lonely, until we move forward. So thank you for sharing. I appreciate that. Anybody else want to say anything about the work or have a question or something? This is our last day that we're meeting. I do have some people signed up for tomorrow I'm meeting with. Hey, Aubrey, did you have anything you wanted to say, suggest, comment? You don't have to. Have you been doing it daily, or have you been busy with work and your daughter?
I've been working on doing it daily,
Oh, good. Good for
along
you.
with doing it like working with myself and my daughter. But I
Good.
have been practicing like the gentle startups and just like really understanding the four horsemen and their antidotes and seeing which ones I relate to.
So you're using the four horsemen as what's that word? As an archetype, right?
Yes.
Okay. All right. I'm
And then
curious.
I'm also integrating the questions from the workbook as well. And it's pretty personal and intense, and I'm just having a lot of realizations to a lot of these like blockages and um why it's been like harder for me to really step into my potential
Mm-hmm.
and just overcoming.
I'm looking at this, honey, and so what I'm seeing about the four horsemen with John Gottman is I personally, I don't know, maybe you like it. I would think that it would be, some of these things would be good for you, but I also think it's too masculine, too harsh. for who you are. Sorry, guys, I do research when I talk to people because, if I need to do that.
That's what I was thinking too, because
Yeah,
I'm not a harsh type of
I've known you
person.
for years, so that's why I can say that. Yeah. So you're very gentle, and yeah, the Four Horsemen approach is more a masculine approach to relationships, self communication, and it's good to know how the other counterpart responds or acts, but it's also best to create yourself and listen and ask. I ask all the time questions. I'll just say it to God because that's my higher connection, whatever, and through me. I'll ask, how do I love more? What do I need to know? And then I'm quiet. Remember yesterday, if you saw your video yesterday, we did listening practices for meditation. So it's about learning to be still so you can listen. We are plethoras of information, and that's the beautiful thing about who we are, right? And so we can solve our problems. What I'm doing here, what Lori and I do together, it's to teach methods to get rid of the garbage, like scooping it and putting it in the trash can and implementing it with a new package, a new idea, a new creation. But really, the most important thing is to learn to be still to listen and to also communicate gently, to identify so that listening process is still in effect. If we're angry, grumpy, mean, frustrated, there's not a smoothness that can come through our body. Our body becomes dysregulated. Our nervous system is off the chart. And that's why we can't absorb all this stuff. So we see people going for years and years with the same trauma, drama, and stuff because their nervous system is dysregulated or deregulated, and they're not functioning on the level that they need to be. So maybe a more gentle approach than the Four Horsemen might be good for you. Okay, thank you for sharing that.
Thank you. I'm also trying to figure out how to talk to somebody whose nervous system has been disrupted for many years, because I'm more gentle, but I have to learn how to be assertive,
right, and
to
even
talk to these people.
And even well, so that's a confidence and a strength within yourself that becomes developed as you work through that, because it's not about being quiet or gentle. I'm quiet and gentle, but I'm also the biggest either cheerleader or to negative things. Shut the hell up. And I don't mean people, I mean, negative energies that come around or things like that. It's about being in your right alignment in who you are. So part of what we talked about in one of these, whether it was yesterday or it was Tuesday, was the dream, believe, create process, or the idea of creating your future. So you have to know what you want in your future for yourself, just like when you're dating in a relationship, you have to know what qualities you want in another person. So here's another little added on homework. So I suggest to write out a list of who you want to be. This is why we went through the ancestor stuff. Who inspires you in your life and why? Because we don't know what we don't know until we know it. So we are worth, and I'm going to guarantee you that 90% of the population doesn't think that they're worth, even though they study stuff, they still are not there to be consistent all the time, to realize that they are greater, to be their authentic self and to work through the garbage. So we're not alone, and we also don't have to. We can move through and remove that stuff. Does that make sense? Okay, awesome. All righty. Monica, did you want to say anything, or Danielle, before we go on? Okay. Monica, did you want to say something? I see you don't have an audio. Okay. Okay. Thank you very much, Aubrey. Okay. All right, guys. So welcome to day 4. We are at day 4. I can't believe it. Okay, so far, we've gone through stillness, who you are, the authentic self compared to the civic self. The reason today is one of the most important days that we feel of any challenge or class is because where do you take your work from here? Most people don't know how to keep going. So we want to share ideas with you. And that's one reason why we had those calls available to people on the calendar for this week, was so that we could support you. So when we connect with our authentic self, it's the way in which we create the greatest life, the greatest space for us. And yes, I can tell you that the steps to living authentically are the exact steps, and it's why they're the exact steps that we teach in the Academy, The Greatest You, the 12 modular program. The course actually starts out with a module specifically dedicated to gaining more clarity about who you truly are. So it's even more in depth than the little bit that we gave you, because the Academy is set up with, or your life, however you do it, you can take this idea and even do it for yourself. Do I want you in the Academy? Of course I do. Is everybody going to join the Academy? No, they're not, and that's okay. So whatever you do, make sure that you do it in increments so that you can have time to work through them, gain all your stuff, keep your nervous system regulated so that you can absorb it, and then you can move on. So we taught you some valuable tools for discovering your authentic self. Today we'll focus on identifying some roadblocks, not too many of them though. And we'll also go over a few of the pitfalls leading from the civic self instead of the authentic self, how we get trapped in that. One way is in relationships, because we're triggered. We go into relationships to discover love or to find love. And what we find is a bag of worms, literally. So we have to start to look at ourselves first. I know that this isn't always taught in relationships, but I'm talking about not just a love relationship with a partner. I'm talking about friendships. I'm talking about family. I'm talking about the world of who you are. And so we need to look at ourselves. And I've only really discovered this in the last couple of years, this caveat. Remember yesterday I told you I'm going to give you hacks, quick ways into stuff to move through things because we want to get there. And there is no end to your journey while you're still on earth. We're always going to be exploring ourselves because we begin to love it. If we stop doing our focused work or our morning routine work or our evening routine, if we stop focusing the love on ourselves and being in alignment and watching it, what happens? We roll down that damn hill we just crawled up. It's what happens. I see it all the time with people. We talked briefly about how when people work in these classes with me, they're like, oh my gosh, I feel so great. Mia, so great. Wow. Yeah, I love on you guys. But then a week or two later, people write me and, oh, I feel terrible. Where did it go? And so I have to say, it's because you left yourself behind again, which is a hard thing to hear, right? So ask yourself, if you're feeling stumbly, have I left myself behind? Am I still doing my work? How do I, not someone else? We don't care about anybody else at this point. I mean, we do, but the point is us. How am I behaving in relationships? What am I giving to the world through myself? How can I have the greatest love relationship? I believe, and this is from personal experience too, I believe we can turn our relationships into soulmate relationships, the ones we're in. But both parties have to be in alignment to wanting to do that. Both parties have to be in alignment to want to do that. So after being away, and I share stuff so you guys understand that this isn't just, oh, a client did this and this is how it worked. I've done this work and I'm going to continue. So this was only a couple years ago that I got back together with my husband, because I recognized through the growth that I've been doing, and I've shared with you that for a couple years now, I've been the monk since 2020, when cancer first hit me, because I was like, my life has to change or I'm literally not going to exist in this physical form. So I started, there came a time where I recognized, I mean, I won't bore you with a great story that I got a dog and he brought me love. And then I was like, wow, I opened up and I recognized that I was not being the person that I want to be with my husband, that he wasn't doing anything wrong. It was actually me. I was the instigator for the trouble. Now, people who know me would be like, oh no, you're so sweet, Mia. That can't be you. Well, hell, there's a little devil in me, and that's why I study love. I don't study love because I'm fabulous. I study love because I need it, or I needed it. And now I'm fabulous. No, I'm kidding. Now I love it. And so I continue. What I recognized was, because I was dating other people, and there was somebody that I really liked. And I recognized if I could put up with his BS, what I thought my husband's BS was not even that bad. So what was I doing? And then I recognized how much I loved him and that he is my soul person. And then I saw, oh, you're just like your mother. You're causing fights. Your mom always told you that she and daddy were star-crossed lovers. They had to fight. They had to love and they had to fight. Who told her that? That's crazy. Of course, we all know that I say my mom technically, clinically, was insane. She was diagnosed with 3 disorders, including schizophrenia. So when I looked at that, I realized, wow, my sweet mom didn't recognize her mistakes. Okay. I didn't recognize that I was doing the same thing. I looked back at my first marriage and there was nitpicky there. And there's nitpicky in my second one. Well, I'm the common denominator. So this is what I mean by loving more, looking into yourself, into the things that we don't want. We want to think that we're perfect, that it has to be someone else. So identify who you are and what you want and grow from there. So another stumbling block is our well-being. We don't identify to take care of our well-being. We don't worry about our spirituality, our body, and our mind. Okay, let's break it down. Spirituality, our conscious awareness. It's not religious. It's who we are to a divinity. Our mind, our mental state, our emotions, right? All the trauma, the drama, everything stuck in our head. Some of it can be biological, that can actually be healed. I was clinically told after 9/11 that I was bipolar. I'm not bipolar and haven't been for many, many, many years. Not quite 20, because otherwise, probably about, I think it was about 17 years. It's when I went through this transformation and became a coach online and all that. I had this massive healing that was really cool. So we can change everything about us as we start to break away the story, the lies about us. So our wellness is not just in our physical body, right? It's in our emotional state of being. Our emotional state of being is what keeps us elevated or lowered, keeps us sick in bed, like we heard one of our people who's in the academy that's made great progress over the last couple of years, her saying that if it wasn't for the dedicated work that she's been doing with her coach, that she wouldn't be even able to get dressed and sit on the couch yesterday. So where you lie and you stand You know, everyone is different. But look at where you are. There were times when coaches or people would say things and I'd be like, that's not me. That's not me. And then if I took away the ego part, or the part that spins us out of control, I'd be like, oh, maybe there is an aspect in there of me. Let me go investigate that. And so also our wellness is our nutrition, our sleep, to remove stress, have movement in our body. All of these are, I call it the truest trinity, the perfect trinity, is the body, mind, and spirit activation. You work on your spiritual awareness, you work on your mental, which is your emotional stuff that we're talking about here. This is the mindset. This is the accepting of who you are. I was a mess before I became a coach, literally. After 9/11, I was a complete mess. I was in a wheelchair from an accident. I mentally had the frontal lobe of my brain burnt out. I was a complete mess. So yes, I had a healing. I couldn't talk like this. I couldn't function. I couldn't remember things. My son told me this year in 2023, I think it was in January, right before he got married, we were talking about marriage and family and how to be. And he said, well, I feel cheated, kind of. I feel like you just didn't care at times. I don't think I've ever shared this publicly. And the thing is that because my frontal lobe was burnt out, and because I guess I am the woman that I am, I knew enough to try at least to communicate with people or let them think that I was understanding them. Part of that was shame, to have anybody think that I was stupid, that I lost my brain, that I couldn't function, that I couldn't be like others, that I slept 20 hours a day. This was no way to live. And so what I said to my son was, no, honey, I loved you. I could not function. It was me. I was pretending so that I wouldn't lose my family. So where do we pretend in life, right? Where do we pretend? I apparently didn't know about the true authentic self back then, that I wasn't living by it, but I grew into it. And so we all can do that. We all can make the shifts and changes. So overall, our nervous system is the thing that we have to keep regulated. I was so dysregulated. Even when they announced to me, which I knew before, that I had cancer, I had this moment in time where I kept pushing it the thought out of my head. You know, it'd come up to tell me, because I listened to my body. But if something within you tells you your scariest thing, you're going to want to push it away. So I did that for 4 days. Every day I would turn on my right side when I was sleeping, and that breast would hurt. That was the affected breast and in the nipple. And so finally on the 4th day, I'm like, what are you doing? You got to go see the doctor. And it was found out immediately. But my point is that we are speaking to ourselves all the time. This is why I teach this everything is love. Because when we live in the framework of love and kindness and gentleness and listening to ourselves, I have been the biggest advocate for myself. And when I did that at the same time, I didn't mean it in arrogance. I was moving my robe, sorry, my kimono thing. So I want you to just think about your own space of that kind of authenticity, right? It's like dusting the corners in the rooms or on the floor. Oh, who on hardwood floors actually digs into the corner to make sure that it's clean? Not very many people. I know, talking to you, I'll be honest, I don't. Just get the little moppy thing and go around. So we got to dig into our corners to look into it. The nervous system is on overwhelm. It's your whole life's thing. It's all the stress, all the trauma, all the drama, all the noises, all the traffic, all the things that we never had until 100+ years ago. We've come through an industrial revolution in the last couple hundred years that has changed humanity. If you are a history buff, you know this. There were no solid roads usually. It was muddy and filthy in towns because of the rain during the winters. There were hardly any walkways. So we have come a long ways super fast, and we're not adjusting as well as one would think. So think about your nervous system and think about how, in a calm, alive state of being, how much more you can pick up on. And I'll share this. This is more on the spiritual side. So there's a state of alpha and beta. Beta, the American Indians or the indigenous say, is the land of the living dead. To be in your beta state is in your lowest vibration. You want to be in your alpha, which you're moving ahead almost of everybody else. It's also the clarification of 3D into 5D. You are in 5D when you're at a higher vibration. Have you guys heard about 3D, 5Ds, alpha, beta, all of this stuff? Yes, no, waves? No, okay. All right, so we are energetic beings. So from the looks on the cameras, I'm going to go a little bit deeper. We are energetic beings. And so as energetic beings, there's different stages of how we, and this is sort of a word, vibration. It's an energy that comes off of us, right? So if you're in a low vibration, you don't want to get out of bed. You don't want to create a life that's amazing. You don't really care. You probably have worked at the same job, and this is not a negativity towards anybody because I don't know what your jobs are. But I'm talking about a specific person who doesn't have the motivation to move forward, where they just stay in the same place their entire life. What was their life for? As we have a soul, our soul is here to live. And so we must live that. So being in the higher vibration of alpha is the state where you're faster than everyone else. Here's an example. Say we're in New York City, walking down the street. It's really crowded, really packed. Everybody's, walking in different directions. And you see a woman walking towards you who's very lovely in a red dress. And you spot her. You're in your higher vibration. You spot her. She tells you something as she's passing you. You hear it and you keep moving. Now, in reality, if you're like everybody else in their beta, you have, what? Huh? What? And you stop and you can't hear it. So there's a faster smoothness. We move faster as we get smoother in who we are. I just think that that's very important to know. That is the spiritual teacher in me coming out, that all of it connects when you recognize that you are in a higher functioning place when your nervous system is in alignment, right? It's like you can hear your kids before they start to do stuff. You're like, wait a minute, I know those kids are up to trouble, and you enter their room and they're just about to throw paint all over, and you stopped it. So it's like one of those kind of experiences where you already know what you need to know. Okay, another block. Operating from the same old operating system without realizing why you're doing it. That's something that we do on automatic, right? So none of that is where you want to be or who you want to be. So I do want to share with you about the Academy and the powerful things. I want to tell you about the modules because I think it's important for you to know. And it's also just important for you to know because you've got to see the steps to move forward in your life, right? So here's what you can expect to achieve, and then I'll go through the modules really fast. You can expect to achieve a whole new life and body, healing, weight loss, even relief from chronic pain, a loving relationship with self and your body, sharpened intuition. Okay, so that's what we were talking about there, about the energetic spaces. That's an intuitive space. to know who you are and how to live authentically. More energy, vibrancy, and beauty. More self-love and compassion. More confidence. A sense of meaning and purpose in your life. To end negative thinking. That was a big one for me. It's powerful to end that. To build emotional, I love this, resiliency so that you can recognize, allow, and process your emotions without needing things outside of yourself to help you cope with life. To manifest what you are capable in every area of your life, whether that be in relationships, vocation, time and money, or health. See, I believe that all of this stuff is ours freely. And I do teach stuff on time because time is linear. And I don't worry or stress about time, but I used to. And I know that that's a human condition. Recognize your true magnificence and connection to the divine. Grow and build your business to the exact level you desire. We put that in there because when people choose what they want to create at the end of the program that we create with them, they get to choose. So we're letting them know. Some people in the academy are writers. And so I'm taking them through book writing and through my micro publishing company. Okay, so here's the exact modules, and they're in this order. See, this is a system that we put together. We both came together and said, okay, I said to her, to Lori Montre, when we decided to become partners, I have the best system in place. She said, so do I. I said, okay, let's see. So what's really cool is most of our systems were identical. And that's why we know that we've got something really special here. So in the first week, so module 1, the greatest you nervous system. You start to get to understand about your nervous system. Number 2, working with your nervous system. There are, somewhere around 15 different practices in the academy, little videos to work on your nervous system. So we have a complete academy, and now I'm going through this year and I'm adding on more into that. So it's really juicy. The greatest you thoughts. Remember, what you're thinking can keep you distracted. We had someone say, I think it was yesterday, no, on day 2, how do we know which voice in our head? It was perfect. I mean, I would have loved to have fed someone that line, but I didn't. It was perfect. She said, how do we know when we're listening to God and not the other voices? And so we went through that, and we went through the book of Conversations with God by Neil Donald Walsh, about how it talks about your soul's purpose in there, and also the listening to the divine and getting rid of all the other voices. So we do work on in here mindfulness, which removes all that distraction. Busting through limiting beliefs. That's one of my favorites too. You have to know why it's one of my favorites. I get these men who come to me privately as clients, and they'll say, oh, so-and-so recommended you, that you helped them. These are usually salesmen who need to make their 5 million or 10 million a fiscal year. And so we bust through all the beliefs. What is it? Doubt and fear. Doubt and fear. You get rid of doubt and fear, and you can do anything in the world. Just literally. I believe there are no no's. I believe that there are ways into it. We just have to look. Okay, so emotional mastery. This is considered almost a degree, like a master's degree, but of life for you. So emotional mastery. Living in elevated emotions. So that's the good place. So that we're not used to our emotions. So we have changes within our emotions. And some people are like, oh, I don't want to change. It feels so terrible. But we teach you how to feel it, and then identify whether it feels good enough to move forward or to stop it. Because you, by identifying your own feelings within your emotions, stopping asking questions and sitting with it, will shift it. What happens, because I have gone through many different uncomfortable emotions. They are not comfortable at first. Some of them are, some of them just slide right on in. But some of them, they make you feel uncomfortable. So you sit there and you ask yourself these questions. And then you start to sit with it. And then the next time it comes up, you're like, that's not a big deal. It's not a big deal anymore. I've already worked through it. So that's the power of living through elevated emotions. You know how to do it each and every time when you learn the process. Tools for the greatest you, meditation and visualization. 8, module 8, creating the relationship of the greatest you. The greatest you well-being is the next one. Then the dream, believe, create process for your life, part 1, and then the next one is part 2. And so in modules. And so that's really powerful stuff that changes who you are. And so here are some program inclusives that are interesting to know. There's 3 one-on-one calls, transformational calls with Lori and Mia. These occur in the beginning, in the middle, and at the end. And these are your breakout. If you want more private sessions, you can do it. I'm usually the coach that coaches the additional people. They usually want to, Lori doesn't have a lot of time, so I do the coaching. She will be with you. She will meet with you. She will everything, because it's important for her to love and nurture people. But if you want additional coaching, you can use Lori. But most of the time, I'm the one that's jumping in just because I think it's fun. Bi-weekly live group coaching meetings via Zoom. This is a $2,600 value. So we meet and we coach you every month, a couple times a month. It's all set for the entire year of 2023, so you know where you are. And it's easy. It's the same Zoom link. Comprehensive online curriculum featuring 12 online video modules to watch in between group calls, $2,800 value. That's your teaching. You come and we coach you. I also, just like here, throw in a ton of other stuff. I have been known to, usually at the start of each new group, I take a group of the new people and I will also give them some of the love mastery stuff so that they feel they're getting a really well-rounded education. I just do that. If I wanted to throw that in at a price, I can't even tell you, it's probably like $3,000 or something. A full library of daily exercises to become the master of your nervous system. Through somatic experiencing and other tools, you will gain the knowledge and power to step out of your survival mode and overwhelm mode into the calm aliveness. That's $495. Admission to the retreats that we have during your cycle in the academy, those are valued at, each retreat is valued at $349. They are powerful. I'm telling you, powerful. And if you're in the academy, you have the other retreats that we've done in the academy up there that you can do by yourself when you have time. It's really, really amazing. Worksheets and assignments to help you integrate the material that you learn. That's a $1,200 value. So what we're trying to say is there's so much value here for the price that it is. Free access to our Ready for Love course. This is really beautiful. We ran this last year a lot. It was so amazing. It's our relationship course. And the very cool thing is half of the people that took it found out that they were not ready yet, that they wanted to do more inner work. And then half of them went out and started dating. It's so fun to do that. As a dating coach for 15 years, and over 40 people married, I have to tell you, that's one of my little side things that excites me, is to see people happy. Free access to our recorded parts retreat and the other retreats in there, which we spoke about. And then preferred access to special pricing of workshops offered by Mia and Lori that are not part of the greatest you. But you know what? We'd probably let you just come because that's who I am. So anyways, this is all about you. I am self-love. If you say, I am self-love every day for 21 days, actually, I would say 40 because they found out that it's really not 21 days to make a pattern. It's 40 days. So repeat, I am self-love. In fact, I mentioned yesterday that I'm going to create an I Am Self-Love program that will probably be a 6-month program because I've fallen in love. This is my first I Am Self-Love challenge. I've had other self-love challenges, but this I Am Self-Love is the vastness of all levels of self-love. Everything is love. Everything goes back to you. Everything is self-love. I remember in 2014, right after I married my husband in 2013, I said to him, I could sell anything, even cat food, because it's self-love for the cat, if it's the right food. So when I started thinking about that, and we were just talking as coaches, I met my husband, even though he's been a professional diver for 35 years, he was an ascension coach, which is a spiritual coach. And so, when you're married to a coach, you get to bat things back and forth. But when I identified way back then that everything was self-love, my world seemed to change. And I know that when you identify everything is self-love or love, your world will change. Any last questions before we say goodbye? So for those who have your things booked tomorrow, I really look forward to seeing you. Let's put some kind of answer all your questions, have them. Let's have some ideas, even if it's sending you out to read a book that you want to read and to study that book for your own growth right now. Just come to your appointment and let's take it from there. Okay. And I think that there might be, I don't know, there might be 1 or 2 more spaces, people on the replay or people in class, if you want it. Otherwise, you'll have to write me and let me know that you're interested in talking to me, because otherwise it's closed. The calendar's closed for a couple weeks. So, okay.
Mia,
Yes.
it's Judy. I have an appointment with you at 3:00 today, but somehow I also got the one at 3:00 on Tuesday.
Yeah.
So I don't think I need that one. I don't know how to cancel it.
Yeah. You just did. I also wrote you yesterday, I think, or the day before.
Oh, the day before. Yes. Thank you very much. I appreciate that.
Yeah. Okay. And thank you for letting me know. I figured because I just saw you and you didn't.
Yeah. I don't know how it scheduled it twice. Yeah.
That's okay. That means that you were interested in talking with me, and that's cool. And it was great fun. So thank you.
Yeah.
It has been my pleasure to meet all of you on those calls. Really, really fun. And this class too. So
yes.
Much love to you guys. Were you going to say something, Aubrey?
Yes, I have a question. For the Greatest Academy, is it in Facebook or is it its own platform?
It's on its own platform. We have our stuff on Learn World, which is an educational platform. So when you go in there, everything is set up to do that. And also we have our other programs in there that are separate, like Freedom from Emotional Eating. That's Lori's specialty. We have self-love in there. We also will have, we're putting up in the next couple months, the writing programs that people can get their books published through the micro publishing company, through the course. So we have different things like that. Yeah, we have a 5-pillar academy. We also have a leadership academy, all sorts of stuff going on. We are a place to rock and roll, baby. It's all about a great life. So, yeah. And so I'll see you tomorrow on your call, right?
Yes.
Yay! All righty.
I think it was at 11 a.m.
Okay, I will check and then I will just notify you on Facebook. Okay?
Okay.
All right. All right, everybody. Thank you so much. I'm going to turn off the recorder.